Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today I'm going to be recapping and giving my thoughts on Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 10. We're going to hop right into it. We start outside the Moon Tower office, Volley's office, with Chetney having just crashed through the window. Volley is looking through the window trying to find Chetney and sees him due to the rain creating a silhouetted effect on Chetney. The rest of the party hear the window break and start heading that way. After some scrambling, Imogen is able to cast calm emotions on Vale, and with Laudna's help, they convince him that Chetney is a ghost, and they get away with another early potential combat in the session without fighting it. I want blood so desperately. After they get away with all this, and with convincing him that it's just a ghost, as they're leaving, they kind of talk about the things Chetney heard, the name Ira, which prompts Fern to put a sort of nickname to Ira, which is the Nightmare King, but she doesn't know much about him. At this point, the group has a few options, so they decide to split up into three groups. The girls and FCG go to meet Pretty for their date. Chetney, Dorian, Orem, that's it, go back to the Moon Tower to scout it out and sort of see if Volley's going to move his stuff now or move his stuff later. Ashton goes by himself to meet a friend he has to pay a debt to. Before splitting up, it is revealed that the sending stone the party bought was given to Cyrus and is basically useless as of right now. We'll start with the girls. They make their way down to the Smolder Spire, back to the trams that Imogen hates. Chetney goes down with them to give them all the stuff that he found in Volley's office, just in case the guards see him and decide, they're going to shake him down and see if he's got anything. After he hands all of them his stuff that he found, he heads back up to meet with Dorian and Orem. But the girls and FCG make their way to the Suit and Swill. When they get there, they see Pretty with a bow tie on, nice and tight around his big neck, sitting at a table by himself. He says, "Told you," to some people sitting off to the corner, and they start paying up what seems to be some sort of bet because they didn't believe him that he was going on a date with three women. The girls join him at the table, and FCG kind of watches from a distance. Pretty gives them each a gift. Imogen gets a spiral cauliflower with it's all pointy and stuff. Laudna gets a perfect artichoke, the most perfect one she's ever seen. And Fern gets two merged pumpkins, which is badass. I actually really like that. They all attach it to themselves in one way or another. At this point, Pretty calls for food, and the night shift cook starts bringing it out, and it's the same food that Fern liked from before. But Imogen asks for more privacy, as basically the entire tavern is watching this date and is very invested, as we all were. Pretty gets up and gets them a corners table and yells at everyone to get out. The only people who stay are the people working there, FCG, and the girls, obviously. The girls chat with Pretty for a little bit and learn a bit about him, about how he used to be like the bouncer at the front, before they take him to the Dreamscape Theater to watch the same show that they watched before. We'll go up to Orem and Dorian as they're kind of waiting for Chetney. They watch the tower courtyard and see guards putting wood up where the broken glass was. It seems like a good entry point. They don't have to go through the front door now and try to make their way through everything. At this point, they meet back up with Chetney when he finally comes up from the tram. They look for different ways in other than the scaling the wall and going through the broken window. They start talking about breaking and entering when the front gate opens. They see Vale and some guards come out. Vale tells the guards he's moving his office soon and doesn't feel safe there now, and he says he's going to be moving it in the next morning. They go off to start planning and start making their way back to the Fire by Spire. Ashton made their way to the Lucent Spire, which I think is the last spire we haven't been there yet. And it seems to be the really rich people spire. A bunch of manors and seems very well off. Not a place for Ashton. Ashton goes up to a gated manor, and it opens as he gets close. This is the Hexam Manor, the home of Jenna Hexam. Ashton goes to the door and says, "Nobody's here," and soon after the door is open. Before Ashton is an older elf woman that Matt says her age is effectively like 60 years old for humans, however old that is for elves in his world. Probably about like 700? Who knows? I don't know. I'm trying to do the math in my head. What, 900 is the... I think 900 is... 700 to 900 is like an average, so maybe... Yeah, maybe 700? I don't know. Somebody else who's smarter than me can tell me. The elf woman standing before him is Jenna Hexam. She tells Ashton about a job that might square up his debt to her. She made a bet with another rich person and doesn't want to lose. Ashton explains they know about the golem and that it was stolen, but that the person Jenna thinks it was isn't the person that actually stole it, meaning Cyrus. Jenna didn't want Ashton for the golem job. She wanted some people with more experience. Jenna says the job that she needs Ashton to do will take him out of the city, and she needs to know if he has a new crew or if he's going to have to hire outside people. He says outside people won't be necessary. Oh, and that travel, he's going to have to figure it out for himself. She's not going to pay for it or anything like that when he does do this job and has to leave the city. Ashton wants to settle some things before he does this job for Jenna. Ashton then asks if he can tell his new crew about her, and she doesn't seem to mind this idea of him talking to them about her. Ashton also asks about the Nightmare King, which Jenna knows absolutely nothing about. Ashton tells her that they went into Volley's office, and she says that was a very dangerous move. He is very well connected in the city. Ashton, says a few more things with her before he leaves. And we go back to the girls at the Dreamscape Theater. They have finished their show. The girls and Pretty and FCG are all leaving the show. Pretty tells them he enjoyed this time, but thinks that they are different people, and tells them to go on to live more exciting lives and not be with him effectively. Fern asks if she did something wrong. He tells her no, she was wonderful, but things weren't meant to be. He leaves them a little heartbroken, but not before kissing each of their hands. Laudna says, "We would be the ones left standing in the rain," which is very, very sad. They ask FCG what they thought about the date, and they say it was kind of boring, but the end seems very important. FCG suggests that they should write this down in a journal and let out some insecurities about themselves. The girls all link arms and begin making their way to the Fire by Spire as well, where they meet up with everyone else. They tell each other about their findings, and Ashton opens up a bit about Jenna. He was raiding her manor with his old crew, the Nobodies. He was the lookout, and he got blasted in the back of the head by a magic bolt and fell out the window. Hit the ground, obviously, and seemingly died. He was brought back to life by what he said was fairy chaos magic. And then that is what the hole is in his head, where there is now a glass piece kind of showing the nebulous or nucleus, whatever the membrane thing would be in his head. And they also point out that there is some gold inlay in his arm, which is what he was supposed to be paid for that job. So now it's forever with him as a reminder of getting blasted. So the popular theory of Ashton potentially having been killed off before the campaign was correct, which technically means my predicting who would die first video I said Ashton in that video was a possibility. So I'm taking that as a win, and I'm going to run with it. Ashton was left behind by his old crew, and he has no ill will toward them. He says he would have done the same. And now he has a debt to pay off to Jenna, which he is doing slowly. Him saying that he would do the same kind of scares me. I feel like he might do that with this crew, the new group, the Bertrand Bells, if you will. I feel like he might, he might not, depending, because he's kind of getting close with certain people in the group. But that fear is always going to be there for me now, that he might dip once the going gets tough or once he thinks it's no longer winnable. After some more talk, the group decide they're going to sneak into the moon tower once again before the stuff is moved the next morning. They try sneaking along what is described as a 9-foot wall, but they get spotted by a guard, who they then trick by pretending to be a little drunk and say they were looking for ghosts. He says that he, has heard of a massacre years ago, and the souls of this massacre haunt the courtyard to this day. Imogen then casts Silent Image to make a ghost appear, scaring the guard off. With him gone, they're able to climb the tower without being seen, climb the wall without being seen, getting into the moon tower courtyard. And they start making their way toward the window, but are nearly seen again by a different guard with a strange lamp in his hand. This time, Laudna casts Silent Image to make the ring appear. But it's not just the ring. No. That'd be too simple for Laudna. No, this poor girl has to be missing her lower jaw. I guess that'd be her only jaw. Is missing her lower mouth. That's nasty. That is so wrong, and I feel every bit of Travis's pain as this is happening, because that image is terrifying. Which is right up Laudna's alley, I guess. At the sight of this poor child without a mouth, the guard faints, and they're able to sneak into the office once more. It's a little dark, but Chetney is able to open the bookcase again, and he by himself begins making his way down the stairs. And he hears Ira kind of humming to himself down at the bottom, and every once in a while hears some sort of arcane, striking, and sees a blue light or some sort of pulsing light at the bottom of the staircase. He looks down and sees some contraptions, sees the silhouette of a large 8-foot figure kind of slumped over a chair and kind of working on something, and he sees Gurge, who seems to have been beat to rat shit. Chetney hears Gurge talking to this figure, Ira, and, begins to ask the others to come down. As they make their way down with some mildly poor, some good, some bad, stealth rolls, they make their way to the bottom. Ira says it's done and turns to the party, revealing himself. A figure with very long, pointy ears, completely green eyes, grayish yellow skin, no nose, and a jack-o'-lantern grin is looking at them. It seems we will finally get some combat next week, because I want to see Chetney fight so bad. This was a shorter episode from them, and I kind of like it every once in a while, shorter episodes. A lot of juking and jiving around, going back to the moon tower and confronting this guy who seems to be the Nightmare King. Basically what I gathered from the show. Maybe I misheard something and I'm totally in the wrong spot and he's not the Nightmare King. But this seems interesting. I'm really excited to see art of this guy, because I get 90s, not 90s, I guess 94 Spider-Man 2, but more like the 60s Spider-Man with the Green Goblin. I get that kind of vibe from this guy, except a bit more gray. So wait, would that be the Hobgoblin? Was the Hobgoblin in the 60s Spider-Man show? I'll have to look it up. But I'm getting that vibe from him. But he's also really tall. Like Matt said, 8 foot to 9 feet, I believe is what he said. Or maybe he said 7 to 8. But that's still really tall. And when he initially was describing him, he said humanoid figure. So I'd imagined a human. Not this thing with really long pointy ears, no nose. So I'm excited. I don't know what this is. Can someone tell me what this is? But to me, like the most important thing about this episode was we got to learn a bit more about Ashton and his sort of background. I think these nobodies, because apparently he's got like the clasp symbol on him somewhere on his clothing, which I missed early. Maybe these people are a faction of the clasp and they went in working for the clasp, and now he's where he is and he can't go back to them because he's got this debt to pay off, which I'm very intrigued by finding out more about what exactly they were after. I don't know if it's like going to be terribly important what they were after, but I want to know more about this Jenna Hexam. She seems rather interesting, rather powerful in her position to be able to like completely whip a character and bring them back to life. You know, it seems like she was, I gathered, she was the one that blasted him out the window. So that's intriguing. Now he's got to pay off this debt of being brought back to life by the person who killed him. That's fascinating. I really, really like that. You know, praise a lady killer, and he likes to leave them, this is going to sound wrong, likes to leave them wet in the rain after giving them a good night. But that was fun. I thought that was very good payoff to what seemed to be some sort of joke, and we got a very dignified pretty out of it, and I kind of like it. Yeah, and I hope these things he's given all the girls kind of make it into more fan art, especially Fern, because she just put her pumpkins on the horn, and maybe it'll lead down the line to them trying to like protect it while they're in combat, which would be funny. Outside of that, I don't think we learned too much about the other characters this episode. No. I'm still trying to wonder why Chetney has such high strength. Because part of being a rogue is that versatility to be able to steal things, pick locks, maneuver, and he seems to be average at it. And we haven't seen combat yet, so for me it's still kind of on the edge of whether I like this strength build. But I'm going to double down and say no, because he didn't do the best sneaking wise as a rogue. And sure, every once in a while you get bad rolls, and maybe he's really waiting for the expertise. Is it expertise? The rogue ability that makes sure you can't roll below, like, your proficiency's below a 10. Maybe he's really going to rely on that, but something about it doesn't sit well with me about him being a strength build. Unless he's going to multi-class, like I said in my video. But I don't know. I'm still really interested in seeing what he's going to be like in combat. And I'm really wondering where a lot of these characters are going to end up. They're starting to show more and more of their, personalities, who they are. More of their history is getting revealed to us. So I'm really excited for these characters still. And I'm slowly turning to the side of Dorian/Robbie is 100% going to be a part of this campaign. He's a new member. And if I'm wrong about that from my video from before where I said he's not going to be, I'm happy about it. So yeah, this was a good episode. I really liked it. We got good character stuff from characters who needed to show a bit more development, like Ashton. I feel like he's been a little closed off until this episode. So this was good. I really liked seeing a little bit more into his backstory. I want to dive deeper into FCG. I really want them to start digging into Dancer and all the people around him. And I want to know what killed his family. I think that'll be really interesting. I hope they haven't forgotten about the anger. It seems like they mildly have. I don't think they brought it up at all this session. So who knows? Maybe the anger will be a little bit later, because it seems like Matt's pushing them in the direction of doing this Jenna Hexam mission where they leave the city. So who knows? All in all, really enjoyed last night's episode. Really enjoyed all of this. The theme song, man, it gets better every time I hear it, I swear. I'm noticing more things, like how when they pop up on the screen, it's them singing. It's really good. Except Marisha. She's like the only one that doesn't get her own like little singing section, which was weird to me. But it was really fun. I love the new intro. It's growing on me. I don't think it's gonna uh, beat Your Turn to Roll, which was the animated one from Campaign 2. But it's close. It's really good. I think it's better than Call to Wildmount or Welcome to Wildmount. And I don't know if I think I like it better than the first campaigns. But all in all, really fun intro, really fun episode. I'm really excited to see combat. I feel like this campaign has been kind of light on combat so far. I feel like we got a lot of combat with the Mighty Nine early on. So nice to see that they're going to finally have a fight, and hopefully they don't talk their way out of this one. No more talk no jutsu, Naruto. Please leave Campaign 3. But that being said, yeah. I don't know how to end these yet. Should I come up with something to say, or should I just go?